the same shop twice before he found tire chains that fit the rental, because the size on the box didn't match the size on the tire, and no one at the counter could explain why. He is 61, and this is a job he chose, not one left over after better ones ran out. Rural health specialist, one village, one clinic. No more emergency wards, no more residents leaning on his door at 3 a.m. He wanted an ending he could see the edges of. The rain starts an hour past the last convenience store and doesn't let up. He refuels once at an unmanned station that takes cash and speaks in a recorded voice too cheerful for the hour. The road narrows twice, then again, and on the second set of switchbacks, his phone loses its last bar. The call to the village, representative dying mid-connection. Nothing to do now, but keep driving. He knows the shape of the village from the file on the passenger seat, read so many times the corners have gone soft. 20 to 30 residents, all of them 70 to 90. No one younger left in the valley. He almost smiles at that, alone in the car, a doctor with no patients under retirement age, in a place with no one left to grow old before him. Once, on a straight stretch between two folds of black trees, he thinks he hears something under the engine and the rain. A drum, low and even, or maybe just wind, finding a gap in the door seal. He lets it go. Ahead, where the road finally levels, the temple gate comes up out of the rain like something surfacing. By the time he cuts the engine, the rain has thinned to mist, and in the quiet after the wipers stop, he can finally see the temple grounds in full. There are people everywhere, not a few, not a dozen. He counts without meaning to, and gives up somewhere past 100, all of them young, moving together across the packed dirt in the dark. No floodlights, no paper lanterns, just what sky glow the clouds let through. And under it, a crowd turning through steps he doesn't recognize. In time to music he can hear, but can't place the source of. No speakers he can see, no stage. His first thought is practical, the only kind that survives a 14-hour drive. The storm took out the power, and someone decided the festival would go on anyway. Strange to watch, standing at the gravel's edge with his door open, breath fogging, the file in his glove box saying 20 to 30, 70 to 90, none of it agreeing with what's in front of him. He doesn't chase the thought further. He's tired. He's soaked to the knee. Someone will explain it, tonight or in the morning, whenever anyone notices he's arrived. A man peels off from the crowd's edge and comes toward him, smiling before he's close enough to see clearly. He asks who he is, easy, unhurried, like he's asking after someone expected. The doctor explains the posting, the storm, the dead signal on the switchbacks. The man nods along like none of it surprises him, says it's late, says the doctor shouldn't stand out here in wet clothes with the whole drive still in his shoulders. Nothing in his manner asks for caution, if anything the opposite, a practiced warmth, like someone who has welcomed a stranger before and knows exactly how. The doctor lets himself be steered by the elbow, grateful to have the decision taken out of his hands. They go around the side of the hall, away from the dancing, along a covered walkway where the crowd's sound thins to almost nothing. The man apologizes no proper guest room, but there's one at the back that will do until morning. He slides a door open onto a small, plain space, tatami underfoot, a smell faintly sweet and old, like incense gone cold days ago. It's enough. He slept in worse. Small things sit at the edge of his attention without asking to be noticed. The dancers, glimpsed once more before the door shuts them out, never speak to each other, never laugh, their faces turned somewhere past whoever's nearest. The music hasn't dropped once, no verse, no pause, nothing like a band taking a breath. The man's kindness has the shape of something rehearsed. of it adds up to anything he could name. He's a doctor, not one to read meaning into a stranger's manners at this hour. He thanks the man, who bows and slides the door shut, footsteps receding toward the music. He sits on the tatami's edge, unlaces his boots, lies back, without meaning to fall asleep as fast as he does. The last thing he's aware of is the drumming again, distant now, still even, still without a single gap in it, running under the rain like something keeping its own time. He wakes to a fist against the door and a voice that isn't the smiling man's. Older, sharper. Who's in there? How did you get in? Who let you in? It's still dark, not the gray before morning. Full dark. No light coming from anywhere yet. He opens the door to an old man in temple robes holding a flashlight low, more startled than angry once he sees the doctor's face and the case of instruments beside him. The old man is the priest, also the village representative, the one the doctor was supposed to call. He explains, still catching his breath. He'd waited past midnight, watched the rain, assumed the new doctor had turned back, and finally went home to sleep. He came back before dawn only because something about the temple, dark and empty behind him as he drove off, had stayed lodged in his thinking the whole way down. He can't say why. He hadn't expected to find this door shut, let alone occupied. The doctor apologizes, explains the drive, the dead signal, and then the obvious explanation, the festival, the crowd, the man who found him and walked him back here. He says it in the ordinary tone of someone recounting a mildly inconvenient evening, over 100 of them dancing in the dark because the storm took the power. He expects the priest to nod, to name which family runs it. The priest doesn't nod. He goes still in a way that makes the doctor stop talking. There was no festival, he says, finally. Not tonight. Not any night the doctor should have known about. There hasn't been a gathering like that here in longer than the doctor's been alive. No one left of an age to hold one. The file isn't wrong. 20 to 30. 70 to 90. No one younger has lived here in a decade, and no one the priest doesn't already know by name has passed through in longer than that. Whoever led the doctor to this room isn't anyone he can account for. In this room, he says it plainly, without any change in his voice, which is somehow worse, isn't a guest room. It's where the temple keeps the dead before their funerals, until the families are ready. It happened, this particular week, to be empty. No one was laid here tonight. The doctor is lucky, the priest adds, in the tone of a man stating something practical, that there was no one else in the room with him. The doctor doesn't say anything for a while. He's aware of the tatami under his hands, the same cold sweetness he'd dismissed hours ago, the room rearranging itself around a fact it had been holding the whole time he slept in it. He thinks of the crowd that never once turned to look at whoever stood beside them, the music that never paused to let anyone catch a breath, the way live music always eventually does. The man's kindness, total, unhesitating, achingly familiar now, the care of someone looking after a stranger, the way he might once have looked after his own. None of it had frightened him while it was happening. That's the part he can't get past. He had felt looked after. He had felt, if anything, welcome. Only now, turning every detail over in what the priest has told him, does the night reorganize itself into something he doesn't have a shelf for. Not a story about danger. A story about a village that had gone on receiving guests long after it had any living reason to. Before they leave, the doctor notices it. A small bundle of flowers, white, freshly cut, just inside the doorway, where anyone stepping in or out would have to see them. He's certain they weren't there when he lay down. The priest sees him looking and offers nothing about them, doesn't reach down to move them, doesn't meet his eyes for the several seconds it takes to walk past. When the doctor asks, the priest only says the room has sat closed for weeks, that no one on the grounds reason to bring flowers there in the middle of the night. Then he changes the subject, asks whether the doctor would like tea before the drive down, and the doctor understands, without being told, that this is not a thread the priest intends to pull on any further. He drives back down in the last dark before dawn, the temple gate shrinking in the mirror, the road as narrow and switchbacked as it was going up. On the same stretch, between the same two folds of black trees, he finds himself listening for the drumming again, out of habit more than expectation, and doesn't hear it. He thinks back instead, turns it over properly for the first time, and realizes it never once had a gap in it the whole drive up. No pause between phrases, no place where a drummer would have had to breathe. It ran continuous the entire time, closer in its rhythm, he thinks now, to something felt than heard, nearer to a pulse than a performance. He still holds the post. He still drives that road on the same kind of nights, past the last convenience store, through the two folds of black trees. In all the years since, he has never once heard drumming on it again. He tells people this the way he tells the rest of the story, flatly, like a man reporting a symptom. Only sometimes, if he's told it enough times in one evening, does something in his voice slip and admit that some nights, driving that stretch alone, he still finds himself faintly sorry not to hear it.